Hey everyone, and welcome to the Anniversary Edition guide for modding A Tale of Two Wastelands. This guide is going to be geared towards people that have a basic understanding of modding. By that I mean have a basic understanding of how to use Mod Organizer 2, because that's how I'm going to be doing it in this video, or this series of videos. Basic understanding of installing mods through Mod Organizer 2, and a basic understanding of editing any files within Mod Organizer. To start with, you're going to go on over to the Tale of Two Wastelands website. You might need to make an account, and then if you go up to the top left here, there's a download TTW link. I will say these are the videos that you're going to want to check out by Gamer Poets. If this is your first time modding or whatever, you're going to want to check these out, because this is like the really basic stuff here. But anyways, to follow along with the guide, you're going to go ahead and go to the download link here, and you'll see there are 4 different links, or sets of links rather. The 3.2 installer, 3.2.1 incremental update, 3.2.2 incremental update, and then there's this JIP-ELN NVSE plugin. You don't have to worry about that on this page, because I'm going to talk about that later in the video. But first, you're going to want to go ahead and get all 3 of these. I use the North America Direct link. You can use whichever you need to use for that. When you download those 3 files, which I already have, you should get some archives that look like this. You can ignore these top 2 for now. But in this folder here, the full .1 and .2. Just a little side note, you'll want to use WinRAR 7-zip. If you've been into modding for a while, you probably already have WinRAR. Anyways, you're going to want to extract all of these to individual folders. So if you have WinRAR, you can right click and extract each to an archive to a separate folder. Once you've done that, you should have these 3 folders here. You'll want to click into the 3.2 full, and then on the application here, TTW install. Just another side note, if nothing populates in the Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas bars for you here, you're going to want to go to Steam and make sure that you've ran, or wherever you have the game installed, you need to run them so that the game generates the INI files, because it can't detect them otherwise. So if you've just installed Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, you'll just go and launch them once, and then if you go back into the Tale of Two Wastelands install application, they should auto-populate for you. Now here's where my guide is going to differ from probably some other guides, and I'm not saying this is the correct way to do it or anything like that, but this is how I do it, and this is how it works for me. It's going to auto-populate something here for you. What I've done is I've hit browse, and on my desktop I created a Tale of Two Wastelands folder, so when it installs the mod, it's actually installing it just to the folder on my desktop. I've already done this, but just for the sake of showing, if you had a folder on your desktop, you would select it there, and you would see this path, and then you'd hit install. I've already done that because it is a little bit of a process, especially depending on your hardware and your computer. But once you've done that, you should get a folder on your desktop that has all of this in it. And then once you've done that, you're going to go back into the folder where you extracted the archives from the downloads. You're going to go into the 3.2.1 update. You're going to grab this update MPI file. And then while we're here, we're going to go ahead and go to the 3.2.2 update as well. Grab that update.mpi file. And I'm just putting these here so that I know where they are, and they're easy to grab. You can also do copy paste, cut paste, but then you're going to go back into the full folder, the 3.2 full. You're going to drag both of these update MPI files into here. Then what you're going to do is run the install again, and you'll get this pop-up asking what you want to do. So you're going to do the 3.2.1 update first, install, and then you're going to get this same pop-up here, but you'll notice that now it's, instead of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, it's New Vegas, Tale of Two Wastelands 3.2. It's wanting to, this is wanting you to point it to where you've installed Tale of Two Wastelands. So as I've said, I'm installing it on my desktop. So you're going to go navigate to that folder again and select that folder, and then it's going to ask you where you want to install the update. So you would just select the same folder that you just selected. Desktop, Tale of Two Wastelands, and then install. The updates obviously don't take nearly as long. If you go back in here, everything looks good still. Then you're going to do the same thing for the second update. Run the installer again. This time you're going to click on 3.2.12, 3.2.2 update. Install. And now it's going to ask where you have the update you just installed in Tale of Two Wastelands. Navigate to that folder on your desktop, or point it rather to the folder on your desktop. And then once again, and install. Okay, so now your folder on your desktop that is your Tale of Two Wastelands mod should be up to date to 3.2.2. So what you're going to do now is add this to an archive. You can just keep it as Tale of Two Wastelands. This will take a little bit of time, so I'm going to cut here and come back when it's completed. Okay, now that that is completed, you should have a archive titled Tale of Two Wastelands. You can open up your mod organizer. I should mention that whenever you are running mod organizer, whatever game you are using, it'll look like this to start with. If you haven't already, you can hit create new instance. Then you can just go down to TTW. Okay, it already exists for me, but you will get a pop-up, and then you can just direct it towards Fallout New Vegas. But I've already set that up on my end. So what I'm going to do is go up to the top left and click on this install a new mod from an archive icon. Navigate to my desktop and select the newly created Tale of Two Wastelands. Hit manual. Just if you have it set up the same way as me, it should be good. But if it doesn't, if it's not for some reason on your end, you'll just want to make sure that it's pointing it towards all of these files, and then you can hit OK. And once again, this might take a while, so I'm going to cut and come back. Okay, and then once that's done, you will see over in your mods panel, Tale of Two Wastelands. You can create a separator. I've already done it, and name it Bug Fixes and Quality of Life. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to go, I have made another separator called Core, and I put my NVSE and Tale of Two Wastelands under the Core. I will briefly go over the NVSE part of this. When you install Tale of Two Wastelands, it does have a version that it auto installs for you, but there is a slightly newer version. It's not the normal NVSE that you would use for Fallout New Vegas. It's called X NVSE. I'm going to leave a link to this, but this is what you're going to download. I'll go through this just very quickly. For clarity's sake, you install that file or download that file. You can, I'll bring it out onto my desktop. Then you're going to extract that to its own folder. You get rid of the archive. And the files in here, basically everything except this data file is going to go into your game folder. So if you go back into Mod Organizer and you hit this little folder icon right here, you can open game folder, and it should take you right to Fallout New Vegas. And then you would just drag and drop all of these, which I've already done it, so I'm getting a prompt to replace them, and I'll just do it. All of those files need to be in your game folder. Now what you can do is stay in this folder, and I'm just going to rename it to NVSE data, because as you can see there's still some stuff in here. And then you can create an archive for it. Go back into Mod Organizer, add from archive again and grab that NVSE data. Make sure it's all clear. If you do manual, I always do manual just to make sure it looks fine. And then enable those two. And now you should have Tale of Two Wastelands installed running on NVSE. I'm going to hop into game here and show you what it looks like. So here we are in game. You should see Fallout Tale of Two Wastelands. I've already ran through the vault sequence. I can load it up. And here I am with Tale of Two Wastelands running. Now for the next part of the video we're going to get into the actual mods part, which is what I know most of you are looking forward to. So I'm going to hop back out of the game and go over to Nexus and show you guys what mods we're going to be installing. So now that we're ready to install mods, I'm going to quickly talk about the Yup patch because it's one of the biggest bug fix patches or compilations for New Vegas, but that is already integrated into A Tale of Two Wastelands, so we won't be needing this. Just to, if anybody has any questions about that, that is why. The first mod I'm going to be grabbing for my Tale of Two Wastelands is the mod limit bug fix. What this mod does is basically, if you didn't already know, all Bethesda games pretty much have a maximum amount of files, ESPs, ESMs that can be loaded. Originally for New Vegas it was 140, and most of the time you couldn't even get to that. But this mod ups that, and I don't know the technicalities, I just know that it ups the plugin limit to 255, which is obviously much better, for especially for if you're going to be installing a lot of mods. So you'll just go over to Files, Mod Manager Download, and we're just going to grab all these mods at once and then install them. So the next mod is going to be New Vegas Heap Replacer. If you want to read through most of these bug fix things, just because I don't know the technicalities of them all, I'm not going to read through them here, but anyways, you're going to go and download that as well with Mod Manager. New Vegas Anti-Crash. A lot of you, if you've modded New Vegas, you're probably familiar with this already. Same thing, Mod Manager download. Then next we have New Vegas Tick Fix. This one, basically a very common thing that a lot of people have in New Vegas, or Fallout 3 even, or Oblivion if you play that, is something called micro stuttering, and it's where you still have fine frames, but like when you're turning, there's a noticeable little micro stutter. And what this mod does is attempt to fix that. So you're going to go to the files, download that with Mod Manager, and then this is too much to explain in one for this video, but I would recommend that you scroll through this Stewie Owl's tweaks. It's just a huge list of tweaks, and it comes with an any file that you can edit to enable or disable anything that you do or don't like about the changes it makes. But I just highly recommend this because it covers so much, and it is compatible with the Tale of Two Wastelands. So you're going to go over to the Files tab, and you're going to get the first main file, Stewie Tweaks, with Mod Manager. And then once that is started, you can go back into the Files tab, and you're going to grab the Stewie Tweaks any. This is just, he keeps the any separate so that every time there's an update, you don't have to change all the any files, basically. So you'll grab that one as well. And then lastly, another mod by Stewie Owl is Smooth True Iron Sights Camera. What this does is, if you've ever aimed down the sights in Fallout 3 or New Vegas, you'll notice that it kind of just snaps to the center of your screen. It's been a huge annoyance since the beginning, and this is a pretty new mod, but you're going to grab that with Mod Manager as well. Once you have all those downloading, you can go back over to Mod Organizer, and you'll see all of your downloads here. So mod limit fix, like I said, I always just do manual and Mod Organizer just to make sure the file structure is correct. New Vegas heap replacer. I'm going to come back to this one because this one's a little different, so you can skip over that for now. New Vegas anti-crash, manual. You don't need this faux mod folder. You can untick that if you want. New Vegas tick fix, manual, all good. Stewie tweaks. And then the Stewie tweaks any. You'll just want to make sure that you change this name to something other than Stewie Al tweaks so that it doesn't merge. Manual looks good. And then lastly, the iron sights camera looks good. Then you can hide your installed mods. So for the heap replacer, you're going to want to open that in Explorer, or you can also just download that one manually if that's easier. But you're going to want to navigate to your game folder, which is where like the executables are and where you installed NVSE. And you're going to want to manually grab the files in here. You actually only need the top one, not the .dll, not the TMP. But if you want to make sure that it's working, the TMP one brings up a console just to show you that it's running. And I've already done that, but I'll replace. And then that's all of those mods. And then over here, under our bug fixes and quality of life, you'll see them all. You can enable all of those. And you're good. You actually don't have any plugins because these are all, you will want to have NVSE data underneath Tale of Two Wastelands because it's a newer version that overwrites the one that is pre-installed with Tale of Two Wastelands. But that's about it for those. I'm going to hop into game and show you some differences that those mods make, and we'll be back. And one more mod I forgot to mention when I was originally recording this. It's JIPLN NVSE plugin. I'll leave a link for this as well. Just go grab that with Mod Manager. Once it's done downloading, manual, and then you'll just want to take that up to the core right underneath NVSE data. You'll see it overwrites some stuff from Tale of Two Wastelands. It's a newer version of what comes pre-installed with the mod. And before I show you what some of the mods do, I wanted to just hop into game here and show you what it looks like without any. So if you look up at the top right, you can see I'm getting about 90 frames per second. If I do a quick run through here, you'll see when I get down to Springvale, the frames are wild. Like they see there's some micro stuttering, dropping down to 80, dropping down to 70, and then also the ADS, you can see it snaps, like awkwardly snaps to the center of the screen. It just looks very glitchy and weird. But now I'm going to go back and enable all those mods we just downloaded, and so you can see what changes they make. And just before we get back into game to show you those mods, a quick note for anybody that may have noticed that I'm running around 90 frames per second in the gameplay. I would normally recommend capping New Vegas or Tale of Two Wastelands at 60 frames per second and just leaving it be, because there are known engine bugs for Bethesda games where if you go over 60 frames per second, there's just a ton of weird, wacky stuff that happens. But there is a supposed fix for that. If you have like an 144 hertz monitor like me, for example, I will link this Reddit post, and you can see there's 30, 60, 75, 90, 120, 144, 240 correlations here to the any edits you're going to need to make. Again, I would recommend not doing this if you want a stable game, but just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm doing, and this is how I do it. This is what I use for my personal setup. So I'm just going to copy and paste the 144 hertz one. You're going to go to any editor, and then you can Control F to find Havoc, because that's the section of any that it's under. And then you can just enter down one space underneath Havoc, and paste. You can see I've already done it here, but I wanted to show you guys. There's another one that it recommends using to just take off your vertical sync, but I don't mind mine being capped at 144, so I'm going to ignore this little section here of this, and we'll get back into game and I will show you guys some of those mods. Okay, so we're back in game, and as you can see in the top right, just from the performance that you gain from all those mods, whereas I was getting like 90 to 100 frames per second in this spot, I'm now getting like a pretty much a steady 144. It's just, you can feel that it's much smoother. The micro stuttering's gone. The frames do dip, but as opposed from dipping to, you know, as 90 to 60 before, now when things are going on, it really only goes down to 120 at the most, it seems. And then the biggest difference is probably, that you're probably going to notice, is the ADSing animation. Whereas before it was snapping to the center of the screen, you can see it's much more of a smooth transition. I can show you on another gun. It just feels much more realistic and more like a modern thing. You can notice it more, and if you have higher field of views too, it just looks much better. So that is going to wrap it up for episode 1 of this guide. We covered the basic installation of A Tale of Two Wastelands, a brief overview of the version of NVSE that you need to use, and some quality of life, bug fix, performance mods. I apologize if this video seemed rushed. I know it probably does feel that way because I'm feeling rushed. I originally wanted to shoot for 2 episodes a week on this series, but with my schedule the way it is, it's just really hard to find the time to actually sit down and record it, because keep in mind I have to basically do all of this twice. I do it all on my end, make sure everything's running fine, and then I get rid of it, and then I go back and do it again while recording. So it is time consuming, and with my schedule, as I've said, I just don't have a ton of time. But I'm going to wrap it up now. I believe in the next episode we're going to be covering user interface, and I am going to try to find a better time to do it so that I can slow down a little bit and really make sure that you guys can understand. If things seem a little too fast in this video, I would suggest just pausing, catching up, and so on. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks.